IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship rolls into the rural countryside near Alton, Virginia, and to one of the true old-school tracks on the schedule, VIRginia International Raceway. It's the Michelin GT Challenge at VIR, and this weekend is always busy with the Support Series races that accompany the IMSA show. Today, it's race number 4 for the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama, and the second race of the weekend for these teams and drivers. It's the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA presented by Yokohama, round 4 from VIR. I'm Brian Till. John Heindahl and Jeremy Shaw will call all the action for you today, but quick, let's take a look at the weather. 74 degrees and mostly cloudy and a pretty stiff breeze out of the south-southwest and only a 15% chance of rain. The 99 of Alan Metney will lead the charge here in race number 2, rolling off from the pole. 16 of Jeff Kingsley has the confidence from winning race number 1 earlier in the weekend, and Riley Dickinson in the 53 is looking to improve on his 4th place finish in race number 1. In gold class, winner Kurt Swearingen in the 17 looks to keep his winning ways alive. He's hoping to go to victory lane for the 2nd time this weekend. Now for a closer look at VIR, let's join John Heindahl and Jeremy Shaw for the call.
Welcome to beautiful VIR. Less than a half a mile away from the Virginia-North Carolina border. We've got 17 corners and just over 3¼ miles of some of the best and most challenging tarmac that anybody could ever wish to race on. Hello everybody, I'm John Heindahl. Action areas at turn 1. Big out-braking manoeuvre there. The oak tree, sadly, no longer at turn 11 or 12. Used to be in the gap there. 2013 in July when that one left us, although there's a few people got some souvenirs. The cars are rolling out on the circuit for what is their 2nd go at it this weekend. We had a cracking opener for round number 3. Jeff Kingsley and Riley Dickinson were on the front row. Dickinson didn't have a great start in the 53. More speed car. Alan Metney in the white iFly car down the inside into turn 1. Nice opportunist manoeuvre. Dickinson falling back. Sebastian Carrazzo in the bright yellow and orange car going through as well. Kurt Hunt and Charlie Craig in the 24 and 27 are getting together as well a little later on the lap as Carrazzo continued his move forward. A little bit of unnecessary hip contact there from the two gentlemen I mentioned earlier before. Kenny Murillo locked up as well in the number 56, just managed to miss David Brule. I don't think he quite tapped him, spinned off, and Riley Dickinson did get back into 3rd place. Now a little bit of RG and, if you will, bargy by Dickinson as he was trying to come back through the field on Riley Dickinson, on Sebastian Carrazzo. But the next lap around, he gave it a go on the 99 car as well and just moved him away. Coming through. I wonder if it was racing karma though. The next lap around at the top of the hill, at the top of the roller coaster, just missed his braking point, went on onto the grass and had a little bit of a field trip. See what I did there? At the front of the field, no one had anything for the number 16 of Canadian Jeff Kingsley, and in the gold class the victory went to Kurt Swearingen in the number 17, who was well inside the overall top 10. Great race yesterday, Jeremy. How are they lining up for today?
The top 2 Gold Cup contenders are on row 7. Efren Castro in car number 65 for TPC Racing, and for ACI Motorsports on the pole is yesterday's winner, Kurt Swearingen. Car number 4, Michael Manella, will start in 8th position alongside number 56, Kenny Murillo. Row 3 is Charlie Luck, the 4th, in car number 45, and Sebastian Carrazzo. On the 2nd position, Riley Dickinson in car number 53 for More Speed, and all the pole position. A brilliant run yesterday for car number 99 for Kelly Mosse Motorsports is Alan Metney.
yesterday as they came to the line in race 1 of 2 at VIR. It was a very slow pace indeed, and it really disadvantaged the outside of the front row. Riley Dickinson won't get caught out that time again. Great run from Alan Metney with that fast race lap yesterday, which puts him on pole, and the white iFly car jumps away into the first corner. It's quite a long run down into the right hander that seems to go on forever. Oh, smashing move down the inside by Kingsley in the white and green car, and again Dickinson gets caught out, and again he's going to drop a couple, maybe 3 places, spin further back in the field as well. But Carrazzo was looking to make up a position into third there. I think that was Craig's car at the back, the 76 that went around. I'll check that when they come through and we get a look at the back of the field. But a smashing start, really brilliant start from Metney. First time he's been on the pole position. He handled that one as if he'd done it time and time again in his career, Jeremy.
He certainly did a great start there by Alan Metney, and I think trying to return the favour from yesterday for Jeff Kingsley, who was on the pole position, made a slow start, and Metney from third on the grid was able to jump into second position ahead of Riley Dickinson. It kind of worked this time, but just the other way around. It's Dickinson who is once again fallen victim to that. Is back in third position as Alan Metney needs, looking for his first ever overall win in the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama.
And he's in good shape, showed good speed yesterday. Remember, as Jeremy was explaining, courtesy of the fastest lap in the race, because we had no qualifying, that's how Alan got onto the pole position, and he's made the best of that so far as he leads out. Carrazzo in fourth position has got close company. Sean McAllister in the JDX Racing, that's the Shell sponsored car, which sits in behind the highlighter yellow and orange car as they come round turn 17, the final right-handed downhill diving corner, which is known round here as the Hog's Pen. Don't ask, but somebody must have ended up in one going off there at some stage in the past. There's a lot of real estate on the outside of that corner. And by the way, thanks to our eyes and ears of our great camera operators, I'm told it was in fact the number 22 that was spinning at the back of the field. And there we do see Mr. Collins heading off into a little bit of an agricultural run. No harm, no foul. He's rejoined, but he is now 17th and last. Meantime, at the front of the field, Metney still leads. At the moment, the top 3 just beginning to make a little bit of a bid for freedom, Jeremy Shaw.
Yes, they are indeed. And Alan Metney, I believe he's trying to become the first ever Masters class driver to win a race overall. It would be quite an accomplishment for Alan Metney. He's only started racing 3 years or so ago. Boy, he's been a quick study, and he's out in front at the moment in this motor race.
Side by side going into turn 1. Now, can Dickinson get it right? Gets the braking, yes. Gets it pulled down to the apex, yes. Bit of a motocross block pass there, but that's fine, Jeremy. That is pretty much a copybook, textbook pass here on the curving front straight into turn 1 at VIR.
Yeah, perfect move there by Riley Dickinson. Picture perfect. He's now though got his steady sights on Alan Metney. Dickinson, while making that pass, or just before making the pass, I guess, did set the fastest lap of the race. He was a few tenths of a second quicker, or a tenth of a second quicker than Alan Metney, but great pace from Alan Metney in that lead car. Riley Dickinson, now the youngster, just 18 years of age. Jeff Kingsley Right behind him, he's only 22 as well, but Alan Metni, 53 years of age from Austin, Texas, and he's out in front at the moment, showing the youngsters their way home.
Two different types of Porsches. They look very, very similar. If you put them side by side, you'd have to have a reasonably decent eye or be a bit of a Porsche fan. We're all Porsche fans at heart, aren't we? To tell them apart. The Platinum class are the latest, what's called Gen 2, Generation 2 versions of the GT3 Porsche Cup car. The previous versions, and we have got ones going back to 2014 in this race, the Gen 1, that makes up the gold category. And at the moment, in 13th position overall, Kurt Swearingen is running at the front of the field by just 0.6 of a second. He got well inside the top 10 en route to class victory yesterday. They're just a little bit further back, keeping our eyes on this battle then for the lead. Metni, Dickinson, Kingsley just further back. A fastest lap of the race for Dickinson, 150.057. Carrazzo trying to hold on, but he's dropped back about 1.5 seconds, and he's still got his mirrors full of Sean McAllister in that JDX racing car. Swearingen from Castrol, from Edge in the gold category, and we'll keep you up to date with that as we go through the race. In the early running, the Yokohama fast laps, 150.057 for Platinum. That is Riley Dickinson for more speed in second, and Swearingen has just gone through and put in a 53.0 for the Yokohama fast lap in the gold category. Can't miss that car. If you parked it in the car park, you'd know where it was. Probably without the use of the Hubble Space Telescope. It's very bright green and white. He was delighted with his run yesterday, not just for the win in the category, Jeremy, but also getting well inside the top 10.
Yeah, really good drive by him, but he's got Efren Castro right behind him in that battle for the Gold Cup. Meanwhile, up front, it is still Alan Metni, but by less than a car length over Riley Dickinson, and Jeff Kingsley is hanging there in the third position. It's so far this season, it's 2 wins for Kingsley, 1 for Dickinson, 3 podiums for Alan Metni. So once again, it's these 3 cars that are dominating the proceedings. Well, they haven't pulled away too far from Sebastian Carrazzo in the 4th position, but Metni's still looking for his first overall victory.
Yeah, Carrazzo stepping up from the Gold Cup in previous seasons. He's actually acquitted himself rather well. I didn't get to tell you the difference between the cars when I was pointing out there were 2 different cars there, other than the age of the car. And by the way, Kurt Swearingen is the one of the drivers who has the oldest car, a 2014 vintage car, that he is still running very competitively, as we've mentioned. They have a slightly different aero kit. The driver sits in a slightly different place in the Gen 2 car. There's also an access hatch for safety. If you've got to tend to a driver and that's above his head, maybe do some work to get the driver's head, helmet and hands device off. Slightly different dashboard. Most importantly, a slightly different state of tune on the flat 6, the Boxer 6 Porsche engine at the back of that car, which gives them a little bit of a power advantage, and with that aero they are a bit quicker in lap times, although in the right hands, and certainly when it rains and levels things up, the great leveler. We have seen some of the older cars, Jeremy Shaw, being right in amongst the mix, and it's good to see that those cars, some of them now 6 years old, are still very competitive within their own class, and as we saw yesterday, can get in the top 10. That's a decent investment if you've been running that race car for 6 seasons.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? But what a battle this is up front. In yesterday's race, these 3 cars, they lapped within 1/10 of a second of each other during that 45-minute race yesterday. And judging by the early stages of this morning, they're doing exactly the same here. Perfect weather conditions here this morning. It's dry, it's sunny, but not too hot yet. It was very steamy yesterday afternoon when they ran their first race, but it's still Alan Metni who's holding on to the lead of this race, withstanding the pressure at the moment. But that pressure, it really is intense.
It certainly is, Jeremy Shaw. We're coming down to the first 10 minutes being completed as the leading three fan out across the start-finish line. Dickinson in second place, for a moment thought about a challenge on the leader. Still 35 minutes to go. This one is heating up nicely at VIR.
Well, that's absolutely fine, but it really wasn't costing him any ground. He's turning good laps. He's super consistent. Actually, his last two laps were within 4/100ths of a second of each other. So on a 3.27 mile lap, that sort of consistency, that's what you want when you're out in front of a motor race. Be consistently fast, and it's going to be awfully difficult if you hit your marks for anybody to find a way past.
Top three almost tied together with bungee cords as they head to the far side of the circuit where the oak tree used to be. Metney from Dickinson by just over a tenth of a second. Jeff Kingsley, the young Canadian charger, who is certainly making a name for himself. These cars burning off the race fuel. The Yokohama tyres will have to go all the way to the end. They produce a super consistent racing tyre, provided you look after them in the early part. This is all about learning the skills of an endurance and GT racing driver. The length of these IMSA Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama races roughly equivalent to the sort of times, 45-50 minutes, that you would be doing in, let's say, the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, or if you were to go into one of the European or global endurance series.
I am the trusty co-pilot. The moving part that moves all 2,000 parts. I am the translator who interprets the road, the permission to take the scenic route, and the guide that gets you there safely. I'm not just any tire. I am a Yokohama.
.33.5 minutes still to go, and these three pulling away just a tiny bit from Sebastian Carrazzo in the 27 Kelly Moss Road and Race car, who's still got Sean McAllister in the JDX Shell-sponsored car. That's the white, yellow and red car, sitting in behind, but getting on for 2 seconds back now as off has gone Efren Castro. Not the first time you've heard me say that this weekend, Jeremy Shaw.
It isn't, and he was having a good battle for the lead in Gold Cup with Kurt Swaring, and they've been trading back and forth on fastest laps so far, but he just run off the road there, left his brake a little bit too late for turn one, and it's a costly mistake once again for Efren Castro, originally from the Dominican Republic, and again, he's his second season in this championship, and he won the opening race of the season at Road America, but that mistake is going to put him right to the back of the field.
And he will have to work his way back through again. Our leaders on the back straight, which is, yes, straight, but it's not flat. There's a couple of quite decent undulations in that, notably coming to the brow of the hill at the start of what's known as the roller coaster, and that's where the leaders are plunging down at the moment towards the tricky right-hander at the end of the lap. This is the 17th and final corner. And on paper, this track looks a bit wiggly going up the uphill, the climbing S's. The rest of it looks fairly simple. It's far from that. There are nuances, there are little bits of camber and fall on the track, particularly at that turn 17 that I've just mentioned, that you really have to get your head around, because if you're half a car's width off, or you clip a curb on the middle, the apex of the corner, just a tiny bit too much, it unsettles these relatively big and heavy sports cars compared to, say, a single-seater or certainly a motorcycle, then that's going to dynamically alter the car within the middle of the turn. And that's going to affect your cornering speed, but also it's going to affect your exit. And once you're on the grass here, Jeremy Shaw, Yokohama tyres or not, you're not going to get an awful lot of grip, particularly as it's been relatively wet round here in the last few days. So wet grass, slick tyres, I think you'd rather want to avoid that situation.
Yeah, afraid so. Yeah, that's not a good recipe. Out in front, though, it's still Alametni who leads this race, and he's got his head down now. He's not concentrating on defence now. I think he's just looking ahead. That's what you have to do as a race leader, not concentrate on what the guy is doing behind you. You've got to keep an eye on him, make sure he's not trying to make a pass in case you need to avoid any contact. But if you focus forward, hit your marks. He knows he's got the pace, so he should be able to do that. If he just hit all his marks, exactly right, turn fast laps himself, it's going to be awfully difficult for Riley Dickinson to find a way past. And Dickinson on this lap has just edged away just a little bit from Jeff Kingsley in third position. And Sebastian Carrazzo and Sean McAllister, well, they're still not too far behind either in fourth and fifth.
It's Jeremy Shaw who's with me, John Hindhaugh, getting excited with still more than half of this race to go and still more than half an hour of this second race of the weekend in the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge, USA by Yokohama. VIR are hosts this weekend. What a fabulous facility. Extraordinary to think that in the 1970s this place closed for motor racing after getting on for a couple of decades of setting a real challenge for motor racing enthusiasts, both amateur and professional, since it opened in the late 1950s. And it could have been gone forever had it not been for the efforts of the current ownership group under Connie Nyholm. And now the circuit's run expertly by Kerrigan Smith and his hard-working team. And they have brought it back. I was going to say to its former glory. I think it's probably even better than it was in its early days. The infrastructure and facilities have been massively upgraded. The lovely thing about that, Jeremy, it's a good place to work. We always get very well looked after here. But what they haven't done is they haven't messed with the character of the track surface itself, and certainly the way it was laid out, cut out with a bulldozer back in the late 1950s, and I think that's really important.
Yeah, I agree with you. The character of the place has been completely unchanged over the years. It's just a glorious place. It looks fabulous. The facility is always in tremendous shape. It does provide great racing as well. Just a super variety of corners here. It's a real challenge for the drivers. This downhill section now into the final corner, turn 17, Hog Pen it's called. It's super fast. It's total commitment through there. If you get up a wheel up on that inside curb, it'll easily throw you off to the outside of the racetrack and onto the grass, and it's going to be a wild ride from there. But look at Riley Dickinson now. He's under increasing pressure for second place from yesterday's winner, Jeff Kingsley, looking to the inside.
Lovely.
Not quite able to make it past, not quite able to get through, was he?
No, good defence, good solid defence from Dickinson. Good driving from both is what I was about to say there, Jeremy, as they gave themselves a bit of room.
There's a little bit further back down the field. It's kind of a 24. That's Kurt Hunt trying to make a move on David Brule Senior, who yesterday had a really, really good run to finish in 7th positioning in that car number 48. Today, this is the battle for 11th and 12th, and just ahead of them, making his debut in this championship this weekend for JDX Racing is car number 77. That is the black and gold car of Brian Henderson.
Yeah, Brian's been doing a decent job as well. New to this championship, not new to racing. Nice to see what I think of, Jeremy, over the last 3 or 4 seasons, the traditional black and gold GTX racing car. I still slightly get caught out by the shell colours of Sean McAllister's car, but Brian doing a good job and sitting in 10th position at the moment.
Yeah, it's been a good run for him. He's learned quickly in this car. He did do a test day earlier in the week, so he has some experience, but that's his only experience in this car. He's a relatively local driver from Virginia, from Fredericksburg in Virginia, and thoroughly enjoying his first opportunity to drive these GT3 Cup cars.
On the back straight, Kelly Moss, road and race in a great scrap again behind that JDX racing car. That's David Brule Senior, and behind him, first of the ACI Motorsports car, that is the number 24. And that was a pretty eventful race yesterday for Kurt Hunt from Atlanta, driving under the driving club at Road Atlanta banner for ACI Motorsports, getting a little bit further through the field than he did yesterday. Had a couple of off-course moments, but the car looking shiny again now, and they're right up with Henderson in this thrilling battle for 10th, 11th and 12th position. Also joining the back of that and coming through is the bright green car, and that is the Gold Cup leader, Kurt Swearingen. And now he's got to be a bit sensible at that point. We'll keep an eye on that. He's not really racing those cars. He would like to get through them though, to make his position in his class a little more secure. At the front of the field, still Metney leads, battle for second. Dickinson almost getting bump drafted down the back straight by Kingsley, who puts himself in a beautiful position at the top of the hill, and for a moment he got his nose up alongside. He does it again, swaps from left to right, now back to the left again as they come down the roller coaster. This is fabulous stuff from these two young chargers through the final corner, and it's as you were, but at any of about 3 or 4 places from the top of the hill down, Jeremy Shaw, the place could have changed, or they could have both been off the track.
Yeah, so what a battle that is, and that is allowing Alan Metney now to edge away in the lead all of it for the very first time in this race. The gap for first and second is more than the second, 1.4, and Riley Dickinson now, he's now taking a defensive mode, isn't he, to keep Jeff Kingsley behind him. That's exactly what Alan Metney wants out in front of this race. Once again, defensive there into turn 4 goes Riley Dickinson to ensure there's no way through for Jeff Kingsley. Super battle.
And still 22 minutes to go. Looks like a slow moving number 10. Oh dear. Vernon McClure comes into the pits. Left front wheel looked wobbly there. You don't pit in these races. That's going to take him out of the running in his TPC run car. Half the race still to go at the front of the field. Metney leads for Kelly Moss AM. That's Alan Metney Motorsports by now 2.1 seconds. The other 2 overall positions on the podium still being fought over by Dickinson and Kingsley, and still a fabulous battle at the bottom of the top 10 between Henderson, Hunt and the gold leader Kurt Swearingen. Jeremy Shaw and John Hindhaugh watching the Porsche battles right throughout this 17 car field. Vernon McClure just into the pits, has not yet re-emerged. Looked like a left front problem, maybe the wheel wasn't quite seated correctly. Through Oak Tree and onto the back straight, the battle for 10th position. JDX Racing in the shape of the number 77 car at the moment holding sway, but right in the wheel tracks at the moment. Kurt Hunt for ACI. Meantime, battle for 4th position, heading through turn 1. I think if we give Sean McAllister a pop quiz at the end of this race, Jeremy, and asked him to, 20 questions on what's on the back of Sebastian Carrazzo's car, I reckon he'd get all 20 right. He's been staring at it for about 8 laps.
That's exactly right. He'll be examining that, but trying to find a way past you. What's the different view, doesn't he? What's a clear view in front of him? But he's got plenty of time to do that. Still 20 minutes remaining in this race.
I am the trusty co-pilot. The moving part that moves all 2,000 parts. I am the translator who interprets the road, the permission to take the scenic route, and the guide that gets you there safely. I'm not just any tire. I am a Yokohama.
Carrazzo then in 4th position with the 11 of McAllister. That's the other JDX racing car here this weekend. And they're dropping away now from the leading trio, which are about evenly spaced, just under, or just on a second and a half between Metney and Dickinson for 1 and 2. Dickinson to Kingsley just under a second and a half, and then 3.5 seconds back to that battle we were describing for you a moment or two ago. David Brill Sr. is now going to have to deal with Kurt Hunt, who he is hoving up behind him. That will be a battle for 9th in platinum. And overall, as we're coming down to 18 minutes to go, and here's the first spinner. Oh, it's Dickinson again. He's spinning the wheels forward on the wet grass, but it's all downhill off the edges of the circuit, literally, as well as for your race chances. Somehow managed to get forward momentum. So Dickinson already down to 6th position and just went wide coming out of Oak Tree. Now there is a little more paving there than there used to be, but still the left rear Yokohama was scrambling for grip on the dirt and the wet grass, and that's 2 mistakes we've seen in a couple of events in these 2 days here for Riley, and that's quite unusual, Jeremy. And that was again, I'm not going to say it's an unforced error in a race, but really he was not under pressure at that point. He should have just been getting his foot down and trying to get after the leader, and now he's dropped all the way down to 6th position, and that's another good result today that has disappeared.
Yeah, that'll be disappointing for he and for David Moore, the team owner there. Ryder Dickinson is this year's Hurley Haywood Scholarship winner, looking to carry the legacy of Hurley Haywood through this sport as he moves on up the racing ladder. Just his 2nd year of racing for Riley Dickinson, but you're right, he just pulled out a little bit. He had his biggest margin of the race thus far over Jeff Kingsley before making a mistake up at turn 12. Now, though, he's going to fall well back down the order outside the top 5. He's got a lot of work to do. He's going to claw back to get some more championship points, and that's what he needs at this early stage in the season. You can't afford to give away any points early on.
Points scored at the start of the year, I always think points in the bank, aren't they? It's a bit, you think about a football game, if you can get a good lead in the first quarter or the first half, you can then manage after that. Here's that battle that we were talking about a little bit earlier on, and for a moment the number 24 of Kurt Hunt was ahead of Dave Brill Sr., but he just spun the wheels up coming out of turn 4. rear Yokohama's not able to provide forward progress as he pinched the corner. Actually, quite gentlemanly move there. He could have done a little bit more of a block pass there on David Brill Senior. It's cost him a couple of 3 cars lengths, but he lived to fight another day. Took a little bit of life out of the rear tyres. This the battle then for 9th position. Michael Manella is up the road by about 20 seconds. Just coming back to Riley Dickinson, he's dropped into, as Jeremy suggested, 6th position in that more-speed car. And he's in a bit of no man's land at the moment, so if he can get his head down and put some decent laps in, that would be good for him. He's 4 seconds behind Charlie Luck, who's in 5th for Wright Motorsports in the 45 car. And he is 8 seconds ahead of the top racing number 56. And there's another car going off, and that is the 48. That's Dave Brill Senior. Now that was that battle. That's at the top of the hill, the roller coaster. Now he's done very well. Now he was in a battle. So was he ushered off, or did he miss it? Oh, he's missed his braking points by a long way. I wondered if there'd been a little bit of a helping hand or a front bumper there. But that was optimistically late braking, Mr. Shaw, at the top of the hill. And turn 1, oh, and that is that Werner McClure, who's just spun round the number 10 car. That's a turn 1, and this is going to be a full course yellow with 14 minutes to go. 2 cars involved. What a shame. And that was quite a heavy impact. Not the first time this weekend throughout the classes that we've seen a car arriving backwards at turn 1. And I've got a feeling that one of the cars that was involved was the number 48. Yes, it was. That was David Brill, who was got right front suspension damage. He was the car who'd just been off the track towards the end of the previous lap and gathered it all together. And who was coming through? It was the 18, the 18 car. So that, in fact, was Richard Edge, who lost it all on his own and arrived backwards at turn 1. It's an unlucky day when you're minding your own business on a racetrack and somebody reverses into you at 70 or 80 miles an hour. The impact actually was from the front of Richard's car, but my goodness, that's a heavy hit.
Yeah, that was a scary incident. It was a very strange incident. All of a sudden the brakes locked up there for Richard Edge. He was running in the 3rd position in the Gold Cup category, and that car just locked up on him, didn't it? It shouldn't do that, I would have thought. The Gold Cup cars, I don't think they have ABS, but we talked about it a little earlier on. If something goes wrong with the brakes and systems, I doubt it. No, because that's all automated as well in these cars, the downshift. So all of a sudden the back end just locked up there, and there's really not much that Richard Edge could do at that stage. He was pretty much a passenger. I think that was some sort of a mechanical issue that caused him to lose control of that car.
Violent, wasn't it?
Yeah, super bad luck for David Brill there. Completely, he came from a long way from behind David Brill. He was 8-10 car lengths behind him when they started the braking point for that corner, so that was most unfortunate.
The scariest part of that was that Richard Edge's car got up in the air over the curb, fortunately hit the passenger side of the David Brill Porsche, and Richard's looking at it as much as to say, I have no clue what happened at that point. Think about driving down a straight piece of road, and if your car is so equipped, let's say you're doing 60, 65 miles an hour, and then without warning, your parking brake on the back wheels gets pulled on, and it's a good enough parking brake to lock your rear wheels. Now, we all know about handbrake turns and how you use that on the loose to rotate the car, but think about how scary that would be, because the back end locked up. The 18 then, just for a moment, gets all 4 wheels off the ground. The bonnet's gone, the hood's gone, the front clip's gone on that car, and per David Brill has suspension damage on the right front. That could have been much worse. Coming down to the last 10 minutes, we're under safety car for the 2nd race of the weekend of the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge by Yokohama at the IMSA VIR meeting. Alan Metney, with the pressure of pole position earlier on, which he earned from his fastest lap in the race yesterday, now has to do it again with a group of hungry drivers behind him who want to steal that win away, Jeremy.
Yeah, good news is certainly for Riley Dickinson. It gives him an opportunity to move up from 6th position right now and perhaps get a few extra points than he would otherwise have got, because I don't think he was going to catch. He was catching Charlie Luck, who's running in 5th place in caliber 45 before the caution period came out, but now he'll be right on his tail as we get ready for this restart. And you're right, I think it'll be 2 laps remaining in this race.
Watch out for Sean McAllister in the number 11. He's 4th in the line. That's a nice place to be. He'll be able to judge what's going on ahead of him and gets on the throttle nice and early through turn 17. It looked like Carrazzo was slightly caught napping. The two leaders are side by side. Oh, Alan, that's naughty. He's just pushed Jeff Kingsley onto the grass, but Kingsley's ahead, I think, before the line. That'll be looked at. Yes, he was. He was scored before the line, but that's coming back. That's not a start, that's a restart. He drops back in there. I wonder if his team were talking to him. How about the start for the 11 car? Yes, a good one. A good one from Sean McAllister, and he is up into 3rd position, but Sebastian Carrazzo doesn't want to leave it at that. There's a little bit of a nudge coming out of 3 down to 4. They're on the wrong line and round the outside. There's an opportunity there then for Riley Dickinson to try and get by. Dickinson was scored as 5th across the line, so he made a good start as well. But Metney has done what he needed to do. Aggressive. He held back Kingsley, put the wheels on the grass, and Charlie looks off. That must have been on the restart, because that's at the entrance to the pit lane. Yes, he put the wheels on the grass, spun across the field. How did Swearingen miss him as he was coming through? And that means, I think, we'll go back to yellow flags unless that car can be moved under its own steam. It's right at the entrance to the pit lane on driver's right. 2 minutes and 12 to go. And under massive pressure, Metney now has got to drive. If you were his crew chief now, Jeremy Shaw, I know exactly what you'd be saying. You'd be saying focus forward.
Absolutely right, and to get that lead back, he thought it had slipped away there for Alan Metney, but he's still leading this race now. And look at that battle behind him. There's Riley Dickinson smoking the brakes on the inside, trying to get past Sebastian Carrazzo going into the roller coaster. He's done it too. Great move.
Carrazzo's off. Carrazzo's off, and he's lost the bib spoiler from the front edge of that car, and that's going to give him awful push for the rest of this. It was actually a decent save. He was trying to battle and hold on to that position, 4th position. Dickinson's gone through. White flag is out. Brilliant again from race control. They did manage to stay green. Metney then half a second at the line. Jeff Kingsley, who had his nose ahead on the restart, dropped back in at turn 1. And Metney now has got under 2 miles to go to be unofficially, but frankly, if Jeremy says this, I believe it to be 100% true, the first ever Masters winner overall in the IMSA Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama. It was his first pole position for this race today in his short Porsche career, and he's converted it at 100%, so long as he can do the last mile and a half, Jeremy.
Yeah, ergo the oldest ever winner in this championship as well. Unofficially, I haven't had a chance to check my records, been a bit busy, but it's been a brilliant drive by Metney. But this battle is still going on here for a 3rd position right now. Riley Dickinson is in 4th. Sean McAllister is in 3rd, looking for his best result in this championship for JDX Racing. And it's going to be all down, I think, to the braking area at the top of the hill here for the roller coaster.
And has Riley learned anything from yesterday when he threw away a good position there? He's got a brilliant draft, pulls out the driver's right, noses ahead, but he's got to hold that position for the right-handed part, and he's done it. He sneaks through, and he sneaked onto the podium 3 corners from the end, and the comeback drive from Dickinson, who made a bit of a mistake earlier on, had one yesterday. Well, a little bit of redemption maybe for Riley, who will be on the podium for more speed, but it's Kelly Moss Racing. They swept the podium yesterday, and Alan Metney, Kelly Moss AM Motorsport, is the Masters winner and wins overall for the first time in IMSA Porsche GT3 Cup history. A winner overall from the Masters category, chased home by Jeff Kingsley, who was very racy on the restart. Dickinson confirmed in third, and it's a delightful double for Kurt Swearingen in the number 17. 8th position for the ACI Motorsports driver who takes the Gold Cup category.
Welcome back to VIR from Alton, Virginia, where race number 2 of the weekend for the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA presented by Yokohama has completed. Let's go to Victory Lane and hear from the winner.
It feels great. It feels wonderful, and it's fitting that it happens here. This is the first time, or the first place I ever podiumed 3.5 years ago in gold class, so I'm really, really happy to have it happen here. Yeah, look, Jeff got a great jump, and I got a little bit loose on the exit of 16, and he put it up in there, and I was really, really impressed, and I thought maybe I had lost position, but I got it done right at the end, and you know, it was clean racing between each of us. He did a phenomenal job, and I thank him for being a gentleman out there.
Well, it shows the old guys can do it. I'm really happy for him. He's worked really hard to get there, so he deserves it. Yes, we had an accident on Monday, went home, put the car back together over 2 days. It was a long, 2 hard days. We came back, had to work hard in race 1 to win it. Come back, got a good start here, and just let it flag to flag. Our team did awesome. The car, we made a few changes overnight. Car was better, and we just had a great time.
Let's take a look at the unofficial results then. Half a second the margin for victory for the 99 Kelly Moss AM. That is Alan Metney Motorsports. Jeff Kingsley pushed him hard in the second place machine, the 16 from the same team. Riley Dickinson back to 3rd position in the platinum category, the number 53 Motor Speed car, ahead of Sean McAllister for JDX. Then Carrazzo, who lost a couple of places on that list, restart, and the top 6 made up by Top Racing. Kenny Murillo in the 56 car. Kurt Swearingen managed to get inside the top 10 again in the 17 ACI Motorsports, and he takes the Gold Cup ahead of Efren Castro, who was off the circuit early on but recovers to 2nd and 10th overall. And Jeremy Shaw has the unofficial Porsche points at the end of round 4.
I do, with the win today, Alan Metney, his first win, he'll move up to 2nd place in the points on 127 after 4 rounds, just 7 points behind Jeff Kingsley, who finished 2nd, and in 3rd position now, falling to 3rd position, Riley Dickinson, just 2 points behind Alan Metney. So the top 3 contenders will be separated by just 9 points as they head to the next couple of races at Road Atlanta.
The next race on NBCSN for the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA presented by Yokohama will be round 5 and 6 at the Michelin Endurance Challenge weekend at Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta, September 16th at 5 p.m. NBC Sports is your exclusive home for IMSA sports car racing. Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA presented by Yokohama put on a great show. Congratulations to the winners today, and thank you for watching. We'll see you soon. So long, everyone.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of the International Motorsports Association. We would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.